Hi coders, my name is Bhupinder and I welcome you to my channel Adaptive Learning. So today's video we are going to talk about JSON Web Token. Only implementation part will be discussing. I will not discuss about theories of JSON Web Token. If you want to learn about theories, then you can simply Google it about. And what I'm going to show you, like suppose you have a payload, like you have some data and you want you want to make a JSON web token with that data. So how you can do that in Node.js, that I'm going to show you. So what do we need for that? We need two things. First, JSON as a dependency, and the second thing, data. So for data, I have made a store procedure. If you see, this is a procedure in which if I pass the username or email ID or maybe the first name, then I'll get the user related particular data. So like let's just see, like Mahi is a username for a user. So if I execute it, so as you can see I got this data. So just suppose that this is our data, and with this data we want to make a JSON web token. So how we can do that? For that, first of all we have to install the JSON web dependency. For that, we'll go in our directory, like where we were working. So let me see where I'm right now. So we have to go inside a desktop, so cd desktop, and then we have to go inside courses, and inside courses we should go in fastify fastify mysql. So we'll go in fastify mysql. Okay, and here what I'll do, I'll simply install the JSON web token. For that, I'll write the command npm install JSON web token. Okay, so it will take some time to download. By the time it is downloading, what we can do, we can simply come here and create a file, and let's give a name this file. I'll give a name. This file will be index.js, and inside this file we need two things. First, JSON web token, and the second one is the connection with the database. And I guess we have already a database connection. We just have to import this connection from this file to index.js. So for that, what we can do is simply type here const and curly braces, and then we'll require it, and this file is inside config and then db. Okay, and here we can extract execute query is a function. Okay, and the second thing is, let's see whether the JSON web token has downloaded or not. As you can see, it is downloaded. So now we can require it too. So what I'll do, const jwt equal to require JSON web token. Okay, so now we have both the things, JSON, and we have a function of database where we'll be passing our store position, and then we'll get a data, and with that data we'll be making a job. So now what we can do now, uh, now we'll create a function first, and let's give a name this function get user jot. And this function will take a first argument as a username or maybe email or a first name. So I'll pass here username, and then this function is arrow function, and then I'll return a promise here, and, promise will take two parameter, resolve and reject. And here we simply now we can write the code for the database, I guess. Yes, we can. So what I'll do, I'll simply use the execute query, and here we need two things. The first things, the query that we are going to pass, but in this case we will not pass a query, we will pass store procedure. And the second is the username. Okay, so for that let me define two variable here. So first one is array params, here we'll pass username, and the second thing is query, query or maybe store procedure you can say. So here I'll simply type here call, uh, call get user jot, and it will take a parameter, and this parameter will be question mark for now. Okay, and then we'll pass these two things in execute query. First one is query and the second one is array params, and then we'll extract the data by using then, and here we just see whether we are getting the data. For checking purpose we'll console the data here. Let's see what, check whether we are getting data. Let me first call this function get username, and we'll pass here mahi. So mahi is the correct username. Okay, now if I run this file, for running this file, what we have to do, we have to first go inside the Konyomi and then here type node index.js. So as you can see, it says we are connected to database, and also it is giving us data. Okay, as you can see, we are getting this data. Okay, but we want only this data, like this object we want this. So for that we have to we have to do some indexing. So let's just do that. So here what we can do, we can here implement a condition here. If data 0 and 0, why I'm using a 0 0, it will exactly it will give the exact object that we want. Like if you see, if we will get this object after writing that to 0 in the square bracket. Okay, so now, and the condition here I'll put if it is not equal to null. Agar if we don't have data, then it is not going to execute. If we have data, then it will execute. Okay, so now just give a parenthesis here, and here what we can do here, let's also define a variable, let user data equal to empty array, and then uh, put use then put all the data into user data, uh, this data like this. All right, and then let's define one more variable here, user info, and it will be an object. And now we can start typing the code for the. So what I do, I because I need these keys here, these keys values. So for that what can I do, or we just simply let me first maximize this tab here little bit, and then here I can type node index.js. So now I'm able to see the keys and place. Okay, so what I'll do here, I'll simply start creating an object. And how can I create, I'll create the objects in this way, like user info dot, the first is user id, and from where we can get user id, we can get because we have data inside this user data. Okay, we can extract user id from user data. So we'll type here user data dot user id. Okay, like this, and we'll do the same for the rest of the keys. Okay, user info dot, and the second key is username, and from where we can get it, user data dot username. Okay, and the user info dot, the third key is last name user data dot last name, user info dot email, and the user data dot email, like this. Okay, and the info user info dot phone, and user data dot phone. Okay, and then user info dot age equal to user data dot age. Okay. What we are doing here, we are getting these data from here and putting that data inside the user info with the keys user id, username, last name, email, and phone. So we are exactly making the same keys and having the same data. Okay, and now user info dot company company name equal to user data dot company name, and user info dot location name, user data dot location name. All right, username, sorry, user info dot status, and here user data dot status, user info dot user image, image, user data dot user image. All right, and then user info dot time zone, then here user data dot time zone. All right, and then user info dot office office code equal to user data dot office code, and user info dot job title equal to user data dot job title. All right, so after creating all the keys similar to the data that we have inside the database, now what we can do, like if you print this whole object, whole user info, this is an object. So now we have to convert this object into a string, and for that what we can use, we will create here a variable. Let's call it final user final user data, and then we'll use json, and json provide us a function that is stringify. Stringify, convert object into string. So we'll pass our user info here. Okay, like this, and then we'll data encode this data with 64, like this, and we'll use buffer from, and here we'll pass our final data. And what buffer will do, buffer will create another buffer with the few values, like value will be in the numbers, and then we wanted to to string base 64. All right, okay, and now try to just console it. So let's see what we get here. Code it forward, see whether it is whether it's being converted or not. Okay, so for that we'll stop the server, and then we'll run the server node index.js. As you can see, we are getting this, but this is not the payload that we want. This is just we have just convert this our data to base 64. Okay, if you want to see the actual data, then you can do the reverse like this. For that you have to pass here the base 64, and then this value, like if I show you, if you want to get your data back, so what you can do, like the code 64 payload here buffer dot from, and here you have to pass two things. First thing is this, and also you have to mention what kind of this, like, so it is kind of base 64. All right, and then you have to also convert it to, oh, and then you have to convert this to a string ASCII. Okay, now if you also type here uh, console.log and decode payload, so you will get your values back. So let me just show you. So let me just first stop this order, and then I will decode this. As you can see, here we are getting this in encoded form, and here we can getting this in a decoded form. All right, but this is not what we wanted. Okay, so I just show you for for you to not to confuse about. Okay, so now what we can do, we can simply remove this part and also this part. We don't want this part here. Now what we can do here, now we'll use the JSON. We'll use a JSON. For that, I'll here create another variable. The name of this variable JSON payload, JSON payload, and this will be an object. Okay, now here we have to also define our secret. So for secret, I'll use like pool. Pool is my secret. Although it is not correct, but you have to define something which is meaningful in secret. All right, and we'll also have to define issued at. So what we can do here, we can first find the issue. So for that we can use an issues at equal to, so here we'll use math. So why we are using math, because normally the time will be in a millisecond, but we don't want time in millisecond, we want time in seconds. And for that we'll use date dot now, and then for second we'll divide this from 1000, and then subtract 30 from this, so that we don't get floats value, right? All right, and we simply, what can what we can do here, we can put this value inside this JSON payload object. Okay, so for that, gwt payload dot ait equal to issued at. All right, okay, and now also we have to put here inside JPL dot encoded 64 payload. All right, encoded, this will be encoded to this. All right, and now we can simply use the jot here, and here assign method. It takes three things. First is our payload, the second is secret, the third thing is algorithm. So we'll use algorithm here H256, HS256, and we also provide here expire in. So expire in will be our 1 hour. All right, 1 hour. And also let's print this value here, console.log sign and sign, like this. Okay, and so if this condition, if 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 this condition is true, then it is going to happen this thing. Okay, but what if this condition is not true, then we are also going to throw an error, and then we'll reject here, and here we can simply error here, user not found. If we are not passing the correct username and if we don't have data the user we are passing, so it is going to show us user not found. All right. Okay, so I think everything is done. So let me just uh, one thing that we have is still not done. That is, we did not pass this sign into resolve. So for that we use resolve here and we pass here sign. Okay. So now let's see if whether it is working or not. So now you can see we have this data, and with this data we have made a payload. Sorry, not payload, we have token. This is the JSON web token, if you see it correctly. Although like the drawback that is one drawback that is like this is this JSON web token can be decrypted easily. Like if you like, if I copy this and if I go to Google, and if I go to Google here, I type here JWT, so JSON web token, and if I put that whole JSON web token here, so if you can see here, you can see we are using this algorithm and the payload that we have this, and verify signature is this. All right, but like this is the payload that we have made. Like okay, now if I also copy this thing from this here and also put this here, so you will be able to see my actual payloads, which is not correct. So you don't want to show your exact payload to any other user. All right, you want to make it secret, but that is not happening here. What we can do, so for that we have to make a custom function, or maybe we call it as a encoded custom function. We can use that function for encoding as well as decoding. So where we'll be using that function, we can use that function before this just before this. Although I'm not going to cover that in this video, but if you want me to cover that in this video or maybe in the next video, then you have to tell me. I'll definitely make a function that can be used for both encoding as well as decoding, but you have to tell me, then only I'm going to tell you. Okay, so I guess we are done with the JSON web token for today. So this is how you can use JSON web token. If you want to implement JSON web token, or you are thinking to use JSON web token, so I think this is a good start for you. You can simply make a connection with your database, and whatever the payload you have, you can just override that payload with the keys that you want in your JSON web, in your object. Like I wanted this key, so I named these keys like this. If you wanted some different keys, so you can name them differently. And then you can remember one thing, these things are, these all the keys are inside an object. So when you are converting these object to base64, before converting that you should stringify that object, because if you are passing that object then it is not going to work. Okay, before converting you have to convert that whole object into string. Okay, like this. Okay, so I think for this video it is all I have. And if you like this video, and if this video is helpful for you, please do tell me in the comment section and like this video. And thank you so much for watching this video.